Welcome to the road to $1 million US. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 month time frame. And then as the video moves on, I'm going to move to lower and lower time frames, even taking a look at the immediate short term. So this is going to be a stacked episode today. Strap in and let's dive right into this technical analysis. First of all, we should take a look at the broader context. So on this 1 month time frame, you can see that we are still breaking out from this massive cup and handle pattern that goes all the way back to the previous all-time high from last cycle. And after we broke out of here at about 75K, it set up this technical price target sitting at 125,000 in the Bitcoin price. So technically, so long as we do not trade down below this 75K level, then we are just technically targeting 125K. However, there are some things to be paying attention to. For example, on this 1 week time frame, notice how we have some massive long-term resistance here sitting at about this 114K level. Now, in the case that we were to break through this, the next level of resistance above is already sitting at 127K. So this is already above our price target. While I'm covering these levels of resistance, guys, yes, technically for now I am bullish on Bitcoin. However, if we were to break down below this ascending trend line, for example, on the 3-day time frame, then you will see me just flip bearish on Bitcoin just like that, okay? So understand that for now, yes, I am bullish on Bitcoin, but this can change in an instant if we just break this critical level of support. Currently, this level of support is sitting at about 103K. And besides that, keep in mind, of course, that this does trend up over time. So this is why I'm covering the technical analysis for Bitcoin every single day. Now, in terms of support and resistance for this 3-day time frame, notice how, again, we have that resistance sitting at about 114K. But just recently here, we actually traded above this critical level of resistance sitting at 106K and have now flipped that into a level of support, potentially ready for a new bounce to the upside in this upcoming week. Of course, right now we're just trading inside a weekend, so we should just be expecting basically some choppy sideways price action and just not much momentum in general. Now, we might need to see some kind of retest of this trend line once again before seeing another leg to the upside. But at the same time, guys, as I said before, so long as we are above, Bitcoin is looking bullish on these higher time frames. Something that I talked about in yesterday's video was actually a bit of a warning signal, because we do now have a confirmed exaggerated bearish divergence in the charts, which is when you have higher highs in the Bitcoin price and horizontal highs in the RSI momentum indicator. Like I said yesterday, though, this is not a typical bearish divergence where you would very likely be expecting some choppy sideways price action or potentially some bearish momentum. This is basically a weaker version of that, so it isn't a full-on reversal signal or something. It is just a bit of a warning signal right now in the short term. Again, a look towards that ascending trend line for the real technical confirmation of a trend reversal here. And in terms of support and resistance on this 1-day time frame, we do have a big level of support sitting from 107K all the way down to 105K, with some resistance sitting around the previous all-time high, which is at about 111.8K. Now, if we take a look at the immediate short term, for example, this 2-hour time frame, this was looking pretty bearish. Then we broke the downtrend and saw a bit of a move to the upside. But overall, guys, it's still not looking extremely bullish to me. We could just keep an eye on this ascending trend line in the RSI momentum indicator. So long as we hold above this, we could technically just continue trending higher and higher. But if we start breaking down below this, then also look for a break of the uptrend right here, potentially sending us down to this big level of support, which I talked about earlier in the video. This is that big ascending trend line. Now, the reason I'm not too bullish in the immediate short term is simply because we are still below this Fibonacci golden pocket, sitting between 109.6K and 109.7K. So we saw a bit of a move to the downside, and now we are retracing that move. However, we haven't broken above this Fibonacci golden pocket, and that is something that I would need to see at the very least before I can flip much more bullish on Bitcoin right now. Of course, the time to be flipping bullish on Bitcoin is when you actually break this downtrend, and then you can take a bit of a short-term leverage move, or maybe just a scalp or something like that, and not right now when we are just below this critical resistance on the lower time frame. Of course, nothing I say in my videos is financial advice. I'm simply telling you what I'm seeing in the charts, and you can do with that information what you like. Next, moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on the 1 week time frame, In the case that you're not familiar with this chart, guys, let me quickly explain it. Typically, the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. So this is where you see the most yellow areas. If you want to learn in detail how this Bitcoin liquidation heat map actually works, as well as just the basics of technical analysis in general, then I highly recommend you check out rt1m.com, because I've created a free trading course where I basically just share all of the basics of TA with you, as well as the basics of how to start leverage trading. So again, if that is something you're interested in, go to rt1m.com. Anyway, so now moving on to the actual analysis of this heat map here. Notice how right now we have a decent amount of liquidity sitting at 109.9K, and there is also big liquidity sitting as high as 112.6K. But right now, guys, most of the liquidity is to the downside, sitting at 105.7K. And yes, this liquidity already starts at 106.6K as well. So to summarize all of this, there's liquidity to the upside and to the downside. This is quite normal to see, but at the same time, most of the liquidity is to the downside. And just technically speaking, we are in a downtrend right now on the lower time frames, because we have a high, a low, a lower high. Okay, so for now, we're not breaking above that Fibonacci golden pocket. We're still technically in a downtrend in the immediate short term here, and we have liquidity to the downside. Hence, I am right now bearish, but of course, this will change if we break that Fibonacci golden pocket. Zooming out to this highest time frame, so the 1 year time frame right now. If I zoom in a bit here, notice how we have massive liquidity sitting at 112.6K once again. So there is room for Bitcoin to continue going to the upside in order to take out all of this liquidity here. However, we also have massive liquidity to the downside, again around that 106K level. So for now, what to me personally would make the most sense is actually just to continue trading down for a bit, take out all of the liquidity around this ascending trend line, and then just get a bounce off of there to continue taking out liquidity to the upside as well. So in this case, the most amount of market participants are hurt, and we actually keep the bullish structure that we are currently in, continuing to make higher highs and higher lows. So to me personally, at least, this makes the most sense, but of course it is not guaranteed going to play out like this. On top of the technical analysis that I shared with you today, I also just want to share my personal opinion of what I think is most likely to happen. But now, of course, if we get some kind of break to the upside, we break above that Fibonacci golden pocket that I showed you guys, then the whole situation changes, and then just continue going off of the higher time frame analysis that I shared with you earlier. Either way, let's move on to the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. On Friday, we saw a massive inflow of about $211 million into the Bitcoin ETFs. So again, another massive inflow. Right now, the Bitcoin ETFs aren't trading over the weekend, but of course, next week when they start trading again, I will continue reporting on this and sharing with you what the Bitcoin ETF investors are doing. So this has been today's market update. And one last thing, guys, currently everyone who is under my referral on Blowfin is getting a 15% cashback. So check out the Blowfin link in the video description, because with this link, you can register under my referral, and then you will get 15% cashback on deposits, meaning that if you deposit, let's say $1,000, you get $150 from Blowfin to trade with. The maximum bonus you can get is $5,000 though. So basically you can deposit $35,000, and that is the maximum that you will get this 15% cashback on. It is also only for the first 50 people that actually do this. And make sure to read all of this stuff here as well, because here Blowfin basically explains how you need to deposit it and all of that stuff. So just go ahead and read that. Either way, the link is in the video description. It is actually this link right here. So go ahead and check that out if you are interested. But regardless, if you do end up getting that 15% bonus or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.